Alright, we've got 3 packages this week. We'll begin with this box, which I suspect is a little over-packaged. As in, I think there's only a single, like, Blu-ray in this or something like that. Alright, yeah. Then we've got 2 more packages, although I'm not going to use these scissors on them, so let's... Yes, the hentais. I do believe last week I thought one of these had shipped and the other hadn't, but here they are, the DVD and the Blu-ray versions. Just checking to make sure there's nothing too alarming about the back, but yeah, there's that. And then, last but not least, this, which... somewhere here there's going to be a tab I'm supposed to pull. Maybe it's on the other side. I'm not finding it. I don't think this is the one with styrofoam in it, so let's just get lazy and get these scissors out. Okay, for a while there I thought I had like 2 things. So let's first up we've got Planet S Blu-ray, which I don't think I already had this on Blu-ray. I could be mistaken, but didn't seem like it. So here we are, picking up on Blu-ray. Let's see, let's take a look at information from the back. That's a region A. English and Japanese. The English subtitles. Sorry, I was thinking about something else entirely. I think I watched a couple episodes of this show. I never finished it. Next up, I do believe, well, great, I can't remember the name, and is it just 86? I guess it's just 86, unless that says more. No, it just says 86 a billion times. I do believe this aired like was it a year ago? I don't know. I got the impression it was liked by people at the time that were watching it. I don't remember what it was about. No, well, let's see. Region A, Crunchyroll. But Viz released this. Let's see, English and Japanese stereo audio, English subtitles, Romanji subtitles. Whoa, fucking. Fortunately, this feels like a normal Blu-ray disc, so it feels like it's a little more protected. Unlike that weird one from last week or the week before. Let's begin with Demon Slayer Bleach. Is that Promised Neverland? I guess so. I really like the front and back of a lot of these, although they do tend to be the same, and a lot of them tend to be Naruto ones, but I digress. Well, they don't tend to be Naruto ones anymore, because there's not a whole lot of Naruto releases coming out anymore. I guess there's still Boruto stuff. So we got 3 discs. A lot of people. I'm not sure what this anime is about, but let's be careful here, because it's I forgot to put this back in. Whatever. Didn't get it underneath the tab, but that's fine. Next up, we have Psychopath Providence, which I don't think I had, and I don't think it's been released before now, but I don't know how much I trust my memory, and I didn't check too closely into this one. This should be the limited edition version, I think. Regions A and B. Yeah, this is why we check. Come on, I can't see. That's a English and Japanese dub, English subtitles. Let's see if I can actually put that in here. I have my doubts because this feels like it's bulging. Although this doesn't feel like it's bulging, so it might just be that different underneath that slip cover. That's always nice. It's sticking and it's really fucking annoying. There we go. Did I look at the back of this? I looked at the back of... I don't know that I did. Or maybe I didn't. I don't remember reaching it. Yeah, I remember this Psychopath. So yeah, of course it would be. Now, granted, this is a movie. But I don't know where this lies in the grand scheme of things in terms of all the Psychopath stuff, so unfortunately I don't have much to say about it. Here's what the back thing looks like. Here, this is a book. I see words, I see drawings of sceneries and some character stuff. Overall, pretty cool. And then last but not least, we have a One Piece film red, Blu-ray 4K steelbook. You know, I guess I've been collecting steelbooks because why not? What can I say about the contents? Her voice could change the world. Regions A and B. English and Japanese audio. I think. Yeah, so there's Blu-ray and 4K. Same sort of stuff. That, however, can't. New Genesis. Anyways, I'm pretty sure I already have this on Blu-ray, but now I have it on Blu-ray 4K and a steelbook. Is there anything interesting behind this? Kind of interesting. Red interesting. Well, I guess I'm not looking too much into how the different what the different discs are. Just they're there. Anyways, here's this week's physical anime collection update. Well, that was a pretty exhausting week. Not because of the elections. That was just an interesting coincidence. Well, okay, I think some parts of it were kind of related, but not my personal exhaustion. Just a lot of other things. Basically means that I only kept up with the anime I kept up with last week. So I didn't catch up on those couple series that I might not be dropping. But let's get through everything. First, for starters, My Hero Academia Season 7, Episodes 153 to 159. That completed everything that was in Season 7. There is, of course, another season to come up. And I think I pretty much enjoyed it. I was a bit afraid that I guess they did some things and I wasn't quite sure. You know, this is before these episodes. They had done some things where it's just like, I guess I'm not quite sure how this is going to feel at the end of this season. And they had stuff where it's like, okay, not everything is going 100% to plan or something. But despite those developments, I still feel like it felt good and in the right direction. Jesus Christ, excuse me. Ugh. But I think we're all waiting for Season 8 at this point, and Season 8 is probably going to be very crucial because it does feel like I mean, I'm pretty sure it's confirmed that it would be the end of the show. I think coworkers said that that would be correct based on what chapters need to be covered in the manga. And I guess I could read the manga to kind of find out how it'll end. But ultimately, it's I guess it really depends on how it ends if the show as a whole, because I don't know. We'll just have to see. There's a couple of things that they did that might suggest that they're going to detract from it. This would be from previous seasons. So we have to see, how does it actually end? What does it give us in the very end? What is the overall feel for the story? And lots of potential there. But we're done with that, and I'm not sure what we're watching next. But I think we'll figure that out coming up, because there's plenty of things he's curious about that could be interesting to watch. Not to mention currently airing stuff that's things I've seen before, and it's probably a good opportunity for him to, I guess, watch them. Like, if we start watching ReZero Season 3, he's got an entire 1.5 hour first episode to get through. So, I guess we'll have to see there, but, we'll see. I'll Become a Villainess, that will go down in history, episode 6. There's a lot of interesting things to talk about this episode. First of all, I think everybody pretty universally loathes Liz after this episode. Like, fuck her. And I mean just like, wanted to strangle her. Even if she's a naive goody two-shoes, which sounds like villain talk, but no, she's dangerous. She's so goody two-shoes naive. She's actually putting people in danger, which was already kind of the point, and with her indirectly, but now she's directly putting people in danger. And it's just like, I want to beat her and all the people following her up. Granted, I think there's a little room for forgiveness in some of that, but very, very angering. And another interesting thing about this episode is, I didn't realize this watching at the time. I thought it was a pretty cool episode, our main characters being pretty neat, but it's interesting because apparently it is very censored compared to the original source material. Where in this one, they showed our main character escaping by disabling all these guys, just kind of breaking shins and knocking them out or something like that. Apparently, in the original source material, she actually outright fucking killed them. And yeah, I'm not sure what to think about that. Because, it's something to think about. Because there's also been, I think it's been pretty much confirmed that the Netflix Ranma is definitely woke, I guess. Was just trying to think if I should throw that word out there. I don't know how many of y'all understand the word the same way I do, but the entire point is the original Ranma was never supposed to be a trans allegory. It wasn't necessarily supposed to be trans friendly. It was a wacky thing about a character who was raised to be a most manly man and got changed, and he gets changed into a woman whenever he gets wet. And I saw a video, and it's just like, yeah, I kind of suspected some of this stuff, but there's subtle things that they're doing with the dub that are making the character angry about the wrong things. Potentially there's jokes being cut out. It's not, I guess there's a question of if it's being cut out of Netflix, if it's being cut out of the original Japanese release, but it is stuff where it's like, yeah, that joke on the first episode didn't make much sense. So I guess it makes sense why it didn't make sense, because they cut out a piece of dialogue that I guess is supposedly problematic, which is why the only question is, where was it cut from? Was it cut from the original material coming out of Japan, or was it cut on Netflix when it was aired here? I don't know, but it does sound like, I'm not sure if the show is a complete mess, but it does sound like the people in charge of it are not the people that should be in charge of it. These are the same idiots and I don't mean the exact same people, but the same idiotic mindset that gave us things like strange, out-of-place patriarchy comments in Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. It's like, what the fucking hell? Why can't you dumbasses just translate it? And I know some of it is, well, there's cultural differences. Like, yeah, and nobody speaks that fucking language. But, I don't know. At least with this one, you know, because it aired that way, it's okay. Maybe it's a time slot. Maybe it's like, okay, we can't be one of those anime that shows the main character brutally killing somebody. And brutal might not be the right word. Just killing is, I think, the more appropriate word, because they were kidnappers who planned to sell her off to slavery, which, you know, she didn't do anything about until, oh, and now you're going to put the life of one of my friends in jeopardy. Well, now I've got to do something about every last one of you. Yeah, it was a good badass moment for her. And fuck Liz. Fuck Liz. Oh, speaking of ReZero, there's ReZero Season 3, Episode 56. Let's see, what all happened in this episode? I don't know. I would call it good ReZero stuff. But dang, there's some of it that has me worried. In good ways, in good ReZero ways. I'm not sure what else I have to comment about this. Hopefully not too much more, because I think I might have spoiled too much with the previous episode, but there's some strong emotions there. Do-over Damsel, Episode 5. What happened in this episode? See, the problem is I'm reporting these in the order that they're in my list over there, but they're not the order I necessarily watch them. Sometimes I don't remember everything. Okay. This was some of that. I think this one was mostly they were talking about things. There was a lot of story discussion sort of stuff. I think they set something up at the end. Some more stuff. Oh yes, okay, yeah. I'm remembering the episode, and it's interesting because a lot of this stuff gets more into what I was saying. Where, yeah, when she was overpowered and leading those people, that was just really fucking awesome. And the reason I thought that worked is, yeah, she may be OP and she's not struggling too much there. That's fine, because that wasn't the main source of conflict, which I mentioned this episode would be dealing with more directly, and it feels like this episode really is dealing with a lot of that stuff more directly. So, pretty decent setup, I would say. I'm curious to see where it goes. It may not be as fun without all the awesome stuff. I guess we'll have to see. But overall, I think it's an okay episode. Loner Life in Another World, Episode 7. I think the conflict between the characters was actually pretty entertaining. Yeah, I think it was interesting because we didn't quite know what we were going to get, and I thought what it gave was interesting, especially since it does feel like it ties a little into our main characters, I guess, his journey to a degree. The main problems with it is, first of all, I don't know what comes after this part. So maybe if it's like a story for the first half and a different story for the second half, that might be fine, but it does mean that it's kind of there, and I really don't like the girls. Like, I think individual characters, they're kind of fine, but the show keeps doing this thing where it's just like, they keep taking control of the main character like they fucking own him, and it's kind of disgusting. It's like, instead of really being appreciative, they're entitled to what he does for them. And I'm not sure if it's necessarily 100% that, but it sort of feels like it. And I say that. It's not a strong feeling of it, but it is something that just irks me as I continue watching it. Oh well. And like I mentioned, I did not catch up on Is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon Season 5. I'm on PTO this week, so I'm probably going to give that a shot. Although Dead by Daylight 2v8 mode comes back tomorrow, so I guess we'll have to see. Goodbye Dragon Life, Episode 6. I guess okay things are happening. The show's not resonating with me as much as I would have hoped to. And I'm not entirely sure why. I know some part of it is... Okay, that was a problem I actually had with this episode. They introduced demons, but I really don't like their designs. The individual entities are kind of fine, but I sort of feel like I don't feel a what are demons sort of thing. It seems to just be going kind of all over the place and throwing a lot of stuff. And at the same time, it's like, okay, but unfortunately, the ant-like things that we've seen up to this point are almost just copy and paste. And it's unfortunate because I thought that with the higher level demons they started introducing, there was some interesting potential design stuff, but then it's just like, okay, this one is just cute girl. And it's unfortunate because, like, when they were initially revealing her, it's like, okay, that distorted face is really neat. But then it's just like, she looks like a cute girl. And well, there's interesting lore sort of set up with her. It's like, okay, I don't understand what these demon things are supposed to be now. Because I feel like there's an inconsistency between all four of the things that we've been shown so far. And there's a fifth one on the way. But, you got that. You got, okay, I kind of understand the relationship between them and the elves and how those have developed and how those are kind of the right way. But I don't know if the way interactions have been going between the elves and the demons makes sense from their stay out of our business kind of initial approach. Because, I don't know, I would have gotten the impression it's like, should they be saying, holy shit, you guys are from the next town over? Y'all can't help us, can you? It's weirdly arbitrary in certain small ways, I guess. And there's a lot of neat elements going on. I like our main characters, even though I'm not quite sure if the way she responded makes sense for, okay, that just made things better. I mean, I could. I'm just not sure if I'm convinced, but I don't know. It's unfortunate. It was a show that I was kind of hoping would wow a bit better, but I don't know. Dan to Dan, episode 6. Okay, like I said, Turbo Granny continues to be my favorite character. I really hate that pink-haired bitch. I'm pretty sure we're supposed to some degree, but oh my god, she's so full of herself in the most I hate this human way. Well, okay, not the most I hate this human possible, because the most would be if she likes herself so much that she's really bad. She's just dumb, narcissistic, sociopathic, just a horrible person. Ugh. But, you know, again, I think she was definitely supposed to. The other characters who are a little more questionable, I'm not as sure for some of them, but yeah, it is what it is. And I thought it was still a fun episode, but not finished. It didn't finish what it was doing. But, yeah, fun show. Sorry, I was holding back a... Well, it felt like a burp, but I guess it didn't actually burp up, so I don't know. Sword Art Online, Alternative Gun Gale Online Season 2, Episode 6. I think a pretty entertaining episode, given what happened... the setup in the previous episode, which I had my complaints about. Was there anything else I mentioned? I don't remember. But, you know, overall, I'd say it was entertaining, back to it doing a lot of stuff that it's good at, even if it threw a most nonsensical twist into it. And while watching it didn't do this, I did end up rewatching bits of the Gun Gale Online arc of Sword Art Online. And I have a lot of appreciation for it. And rewatching it, I think I understand why. I mean, so if you have Sword Art Online, you have Season 1 and you have Season 2. And Season 1 had 2 arcs, the Sword Art Online arc and the Who the Fuck Cares arc. And the Who the Fuck Cares arc just did not work, I think, for a lot of people, because, like, okay, they took a character that was cool and put him in a really situation. It's like, you're not doing anything good with Asuna. In fact, it's bad. And you had people like, okay, I understand why in the first half of this season why characters would have acted that, but it doesn't make sense in the second half because the stakes have changed. As in, like, they're not as high stakes. There's high stakes involved, but it's not, oh my god, if this person I know dies in this battle, well, they're going to lose time. Time is very important in that one, but it's like, it doesn't make sense. Oh, he transformed to that thing. That doesn't make sense. There's a lot of things about it that just don't make sense. And the reason the Gun Gale stuff did is because it's like, okay, we're taking our main character. We're putting him in an interesting situation. There's guns, but he's a swords person. But it already established in the first season that he was absurdly good about it. And how much you take that or not, I don't know. You can kind of take that as a given. And this is kind of similar to Do Over Damsel, where, okay, the way he kind of expresses himself there is actually just pretty cool. But as a story, it kind of works for two reasons, because, first of all, it's actually a pretty good mystery kind of season. Like, there's a thing there, it presents an idea, and it's like, how is that even happening? And the way it unfolds and the tricks they do for it are just like, actually, that's really clever. I really like that the narrative unfolded the way it did. And making it also very good, you know, they introduced Sinon. It's like, unfortunately, they just introduced another character to our main character's harem. But if you take one step out from that, you know, Kirito's adventures there, he's given a theme of something he's exploring that is directly relevant to the big elements of the very first part of the first season. It's just like, yeah, and Sinon as a character also works really well because she has a very similar thing. So they kind of play off of each other in a way that's just really authentic. It's like, okay, that would be why I liked that third story arc so much. I don't remember any others necessarily wowing me. I mean, I really liked the first arc. But this week I was just thumbing through Sword Art Online 2 First Core, just revisiting all that stuff and being like, oh yeah, this is how this all worked, and this is why it worked out. Why, in my mind, it was actually a decent follow-up. I don't usually talk about some of the things I thumbed through off stream, but I don't know. That one's just making me think and appreciate. Hopefully y'all like this. Keep going through stuff that's aired. Magical Mirror, Magical Girls, episode 6. I'd call this a weak episode, mostly because I think it tried to address the biggest problem I felt with it. I don't know that it felt like it addressed enough for me to completely believe it. The main issue being that our main character is, you know, doing a joint thing with another agency, and some of that stuff's been set up just fine. What was happening at the end of the episode was fine, but the beginning of the episode was, we're going clothes shopping for you. It's like, okay, now I would understand if they were just clothes shopping. I would understand if they were preparing her to maybe be a model, not for the joint, but okay, even still, they're giving her the same experience they would give a new person. But the problem I have with it is it's kind of destroying the economic viability of Magical Girls as a service in this one, and I think that's important. Maybe that's what makes it not as workout, because I don't know, I kind of think of this and I compare it a little bit to Ghostbusters. Different genres in more ways than one, but this is a point I've seen made about Ghostbusters, about why the original one kind of works so well. It's because at some level it's like, okay, even though they're doing this amazing thing and it started off an amazing franchise, at the end of the day they're almost more just a couple of guys who started a pest control service. And that's why, you know, there's a lot of elements to it that are like, okay, Demir, they're not making money, there's not economic feasibility, because, you know, if ghosts were something that people just experience all the time, there would already be a ghost busting business or 2 or 3 or something. But, you know, that movie, it works not only because paranormal activity is just climbing because of this incoming supernatural event, but, you know, at the beginning of the day, they are basically a for-hire service kind of. And while Magic Lumiere isn't quite doing that with Magical Girls, they're doing it enough that it kind of was interesting to just see how it was going to explore that. And one of the things I really like about the outfits of our main characters, our main Magical Girl company, is there is something very in the line of duty, which leans slightly more like a fire department, police department sort of thing, but there's an element of it that's like, okay, those also have a feeling similar to the pest control people that you call, or Ghostbuster. And I really appreciated that about their magical girl outfits. But at the end of the day, it's like, okay, so how as a company are things viable? And the show almost feels like it hand waves it away by saying the government pays for it. But when you have somebody that isn't part of generating of that income, and they're not planned to be a part of the other cosmetic income that this other company is a part of, it raises the question of, well, is this economically feasible? And I think the show tries to address it by saying, even though it's a position that a lot of girls would like to have, and not a lot of them will actually go for it. So there could be a bit of a cost reward economic thing there, where there's very high demand but not a lot of supply, and that tends to mean that their salaries would actually be paid really well. The companies that actually do it would be paid really well, and most of that works fine. It's just this one episode with the we'll just go shopping. It's like, we don't see our main character like doing a whole lot of day-to-day duty stuff. We got to see the first of that here with the big company. It's like, oh, this big hotel that's having us just walk through to make sure no Kai are spawning inside our ceiling tiles or something like that. And that's like, okay, that actually feels like they're doing a job. Whereas, I don't know, it feels a little too whimsical, unattached to economic reality. Otherwise, maybe. But, I don't know. It was a thought I had on that episode. Dragon Ball Daima episode 5. This was a fun episode. I mean, most of it is, okay, there's some good Akira Toriyama kind of twist going on here in his whimsical storytelling. But then there's also, okay, Goku's like, yeah, I need to prove I'm strong. It'll be good training. And it was just fun. Funly animated, funly choreographed. Goku finally showing off something other than, oh yes, he's just gonna juggle a hamburger really entertaining. No, he did more than that. It was fun. I had to rewatch it. Very, very fun. And I know that we're probably not going to have the fun battle in the next episode or two, maybe, but we may have little confrontations that could be entertaining. And I don't know, an important part of this is, again, enjoying that I was going to say Rumiko Takahashi, but that's something else. That Akira Toriyama whimsy. So, yeah. Fun episode. Demon Lord Retry R, episode 7. I hope I have the right episode number there. It doesn't matter. Whatever the latest one is. Okay stuff, I suppose. I mentioned in the last episode or two that it sort of felt like it was just sort of doing stuff. Like, I wasn't quite sure if it felt like the actions going on screen matched how they should feel. And I think, again, there was some element of this to the first season. It's just the second one feels it dialed up quite a bit. But I don't know that I felt it this episode, but I'm not sure if there's anything about it I specifically felt like. Yes, we got a couple of things developing there, and overall, it was okay. But, I'd say second season still feeling weaker compared to the first season. Some really weird writing or directing or something like that. But yeah, stuff. The healer who was banished from his party is in fact the strongest, episode 6. I guess it's stuff, to a certain degree, I sort of feel like it's going through certain motions. Are these really about our main characters? Like, it's okay for stuff that happened to supporting cast for our main character. It's just, sometimes you want that to happen in a way that's kind of relevant to what our main character is going through, and instead it doesn't. It just feels like it's distracted, I guess. Our main character learned an important thing. The battle with that is still on. No, they finished it. It felt like it was... There's so many elements of this that just felt like a distraction, I guess. Not completely bad, but just kind of... I don't know. It's hard to be super enthusiastic for it. Demon Lord 2099, episode 5. What all happened in this episode? I'd say good stuff. Again, I really like it because it seems to be playing into its fundamental premise in such a strong way. So much cyberpunkiness going on, so much fantasy elements in that cyberpunkiness that's working in a way. I forgot that conversation happened in the last episode, or maybe I remembered and just didn't mention it, but then we also had continuation of that, and it's playing with its elements very well. I'm enjoying it. I think episode 5 wasn't the most exciting episode, but definitely excited to see where it's going to go. I'm just afraid that it's setting itself up to wrap something up too soon, or to feel like it's incomplete at too soon of a process. But I guess we'll have to see. As a Reincarnated Aristocrat, Season 2, Episode 18. Yeah, this one was a really good setup episode. It was setting up something being different for our main character, which was really good. And you would think that this episode would be more about it in general, but instead, while it is important, it's nowhere near as prominent as you would have thought it was. And then instead, it leads to something that's just kind of like, wow, that's kind of an interesting revelation it just had there, and kind of a really neat for our main character setup. Kind of makes me look forward to the next episode. So I'd say pretty cool episode. I did not catch up on Let This Grieving Soul Retire. The Most Notorious Talker Runs the World's Greatest Clan, episode 7. I'd say pretty decent stuff. A lot of interesting playing around with stuff. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think the general forward direction it has, it still feels there and feels like, okay, this is what it as a show is going to be planning to do. At least in the near term, interactions between those characters were fun. Those characters were fun. If there's anything about this that maybe didn't work out, it would be maybe not as much of the off main path discussions that happened between the main guy and the assassin girl. But at the same time, I feel like the interactions they did have were really smooth, really nice. The show showing that brutal edge that it continues to have. You know, overall entertaining. Spirit Chronicles Season 2, Episode 6. I hope that's the right episode. Let's see. Can I remember anything to mention? Because I sort of feel like there's some neat things sort of set up in this episode, but at the same time, it felt like it didn't move forward in a couple of ways, I guess. So, I'm wondering if Season 2 just kind of has that a little bit in general. It's really hard to say because, again, I only ever watched Season 1 in bulk, I guess. So, not sure. And then Ari Fureta, Season 3, Episode 5. I keep hoping I have the right episode numbers written on the computer there. I like this episode, mostly because of things that I've already commented about Season 3's strengths, which is our main character's relationship with the rabbit girl. I mean, right now I remember her name is Shia. I don't know if I'll remember it in a couple of days, because I forget that stuff so much. But, you know, everything in this season so far has been about that, and that stuff's sort of wrapped up, and he does still have his goal where he's trying to go. But, I guess my worry is whether or not the next episode is actually about that. I think it is, but the stinger at the end of this episode worryingly made it seem like a side thing, but I have my thoughts on what that might mean and why it might not mean as much as I think of what it does mean. But overall, yeah, I kind of enjoyed this episode just from the... It really does feel like it's about his relationship with Shia, at least up to this point. And I've found it to be quite touching and endearing and good. Alright, do I have anything else to talk about? No. Like I said, I've been exhausted most of the week, so while in theory I could have been catching up on stuff in practice, part of the reason that didn't happen is just exhaustion. Like, even Saturday, which could be a good day to go. It was the kind of Saturday where I didn't even have to change out of my PJs. But I took so many naps that day. It was just an exhausting week. Not sure what else I have to comment on there, but, you know, that's all stuff. Yeah. Oh, sorry, excuse me. It's all stuff. Alright. So again, you know, I have things I want to catch up on. I'm definitely not going to abandon Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon, because that as a show, I really want to know long term what it continues to do. So I'm definitely going to try and catch up on those. But yeah, we'll have to see what 2v8 mode does to me this week. Maybe I'll just be too exhausted to play. I haven't played any Dead by Daylight the past couple of days, so the exhaustion is par for the course. We'll have to see. Y'all, have a nice week.